Welcome to the T-Pac Arcade. Today's game is Pitfall for the Atari 2600. In this 1982 platformer from Activision, you guide Pitfall Harry through the jungle, cause you're, stuck in the jungle. And he's a jungly kinda guy. The goal here is to rack up your score by collecting as much treasure as possible before the 20-minute timer runs out, or before you lose all 3 lives. There are 255 jungle screens in Pitfall, and 32 of them have treasure. Problem is, the time limit isn't long enough for you to get to every screen. But luckily, each underground segment counts for 3 above, so a savvy jungle explorer can map out shortcuts to the gold. And I'm just such a savvy jungle explorer. Behold my convoluted cartography! And I'm a sneaky jungle explorer too. You see, Pitfall is designed for you to run left to right, but technically there's nothing stopping you from going backwards instead. That way you can find high-value treasures right away, and getting killed still respawns you at the left side of the screen, aka right past the hazard that took you out in the first place. It's a genius plan, except when you cross into a new screen and appear right on top of a rolling log. Running into those things depletes your score the longer you're in contact with them, but at least the logs aren't as lethal as everything else. Falling in pits or running into fire, scorpions, or snakes will just straight up kill you. And the real nuisance is jumping across the crocodiles. When their mouths are open, the only safe spot is standing directly on their heads. And in case you aren't familiar with crocodile anatomy, their heads are like 95% mouth. Translate that into an 8-bit video game and you literally get like 2 or 3 pixels of safety to separate you from drowning or lizard lunchtime. On the bright side, Pitfall Harry controls really well. The running and jumping mechanics are extremely solid, which is crazy considering how this is one of the very first platformers ever. The graphics in Pitfall are definitely in the upper echelon of Atari visuals. You can tell exactly what everything is, from the forest backdrops to the diamond rings, which is great and all, but for me, part of the charm in early 8-bit pixel art is struggling to figure out what you're even looking at half the time. Maybe I'm crazy, but I like my video games how I like my inkblot tests. Abstract and open to wild interpretation. Is that a rattlesnake or a fire-breathing golf club? I don't know, but I like it. There's no music here, but the sound effects more than make up for it. Namely because Activision managed to get the Atari sound chip to replicate a Tarzan yell whenever you swing on a vine. The most novel aspect of Pitfall is optimizing your path to get as many treasures as possible. I usually hate drawing maps for video games, but this was a little different because it's not about getting lost, it's about charting underground shortcuts. The whole mapping process still wasn't easy though, since the timer was burning away every time I stopped to pull out my notebook. Yep, that's right, there's no pause button for early 80s Atari games. You think the era that gave us neon tracksuits had time to stop and smell the roses? Not a chance. Considering its unique position as a timed high-score game with exploration elements, the difficulty of Pitfall really depends on what your goal is and how you approach it. A relatively easy milestone is the Activision patch score. Back when this game came out, if you got 20,000 points and sent photo proof of your TV screen to Activision, they would mail you a patch that said Explorers Club on it. Nothing would scream King of the 80s quite like cruising in a roller rink with a mullet and a jean jacket full of Activision high-score patches. A much more difficult milestone is achieving the so-called perfect game for 114,000 points, which not only requires mapping a route to all 32 treasures, but also executing it without taking any damage at all. Since the patch score is a breeze and the perfect game score is, insane, I aimed somewhere in the middle and managed to break the 100,000 point barrier, which I think merits my self-acclaimed title of Savvy Jungle Explorer. My favorite part of Pitfall was the vine swinging mechanic. Even on screens where you could save time by just running straight to the other side, I couldn't help swinging across just for the fun of it. But if I could change one thing here, I'd put at least one other kind of hazard in the underground. I mean, scorpions are cool and all, but let's get some variety in there, like scorpions in neon tracksuits. Overall, Pitfall was a blast. I can see why so many people claim it's their favorite 2600 game. Now I've got to get a Polaroid of my CRT to see if Activision will send me one of those high score patches. Explorers Club, here I come!